Welcome back, and welcome back to Salt and Light. And today, we'll be talking more about salt because of the three passages, and I'll talk a little bit about light. But so first, I will explain a little bit deeper about these passages. So, and where they took place, and what major event was happening at that time, or again, diving deeper to where they were. So like where in the region, and then where specifically. So Matthew is in Galilee somewhere. It just says Galilee. And Galilee is a region throughout the whole entire Galilee. Galilee is a region throughout the Sea of Galilee, and it's on the western side of the Sea of Galilee, and it covers Nazareth, Capernaum, and some cities that I don't know how to pronounce, but those are two cities that I know that Jesus lived in. And so Galilee is the region, kind of like a state of the Roman Empire. So it says the region Galilee somewhere, doesn't specifically say. So I can't double down for you really much. So that's in chapter 4, verse 23, and then so we backed up a little bit to find that. But the major event that happened here this was on the Sermon on the Mount when he preaches this. So he's preaching to his disciples, but he's also preaching to many people at the same exact time. So this is the Sermon on the Mount. So that's in chapter 5, verse 1, when he starts preaching the Sermon on the Mount. So, and when he talks about salt and light is Matthew 5, verses 13 through 16. So that's one. Mark is in Capernaum, which is in Galilee. That's the city in Galilee. So chapter 9, verse 33. Now, it could be in the same exact place, but there is one problem. In the same verse, in chapter 9, verse 33, where he's in Capernaum, he's also teaching in a house, because it says in the house. In ESV, it says in the house. So it's not in the same exact place. So these are two places, two different places, but he's still in Galilee. Now in Luke, he's saying he's traveling from Galilee to Samaria, venturing towards Jerusalem, which is in Samaria. So chapter 13, verse 22 expresses that. And in the same verse, it says journeying towards Jerusalem in ESV. So we have three different incidences that aren't the same, because one, he's on a mount preaching in the wilderness in Galilee somewhere. Capernaum, in Mark, he's in Capernaum, which is in Galilee, but he's in a house, so he's not in the wilderness. So because Sermon on the Mount meaning mountain, and that's in the wilderness, can't be in the house. And then Luke is traveling, so he can't be on a mountain while traveling or in a house while traveling. So he's journeying towards Jerusalem in Luke. Now, Luke does express that he sits down in a house, but he's journeying from Galilee to Samaria, so he isn't in Capernaum at that moment, because he is journeying. He came from Capernaum going to Jerusalem, so he could be anywhere from Capernaum to Jerusalem, but he's not in Capernaum, he's not in Jerusalem, so he's somewhere in between. So these are three different incidences in the Bible that these are three different events, not incidences, events in the Bible that clearly say about salt and light that are different times. So this is an error. Okay, this isn't an error in three different people writing it. This is just saying that, hey, this is important because he talked about it a lot. He talked it in three of four, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. Yeah, 4 Gospels. Thought there was 5 for just a second. 4 Gospels, 3 out of 4 he said salt and light. Had to do something with salt and light. So that's kind of crazy though, right? Like, did you get it? Like, he says a bunch. So it's good allegories for us as Christians to be the salt, to be the light. And that's why I named the channel like this. Well, God named the channel. But anyway, we'll talk about Matthew. So Matthew talks about, we'll talk about it really quick. Matthew talks about 9 benedictions. Okay, so beforehand, he talks about 9 benedictions or blessings that you can receive if you are poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Pure in heart, for they shall see God. Peacemakers, if you are meek, if you hunger and thirst after righteousness, if you're merciful, if you're pure in heart, if you're peacemakers, if you're persecuted for righteousness' sake, and then he says, blessed are you when those revile you and persecute you and say all manner of things against you falsely for my sake. And then he says, rejoice and be exceedingly glad, for great is your reward in heaven, for so they persecuted the prophets who were before you. Then he talks about salt and light. But he says, you are the salt of the earth. So he's referencing to those who he just blessed, the merciful, the pure in heart, the peacemakers, the persecuted, which that one goes along with those who revile you and persecute you. Those who hunger and thirst after righteousness, the meek, those who mourn, and those who are poor in spirit, who have blessings. You are the salt of the earth. You are the light of the world. So we should be those things. I'll explain more in other videos. Yeah, I'm extending it further for further study, but other videos I will dive into that more. So Mark talks about serving and ministry. Let me turn to Mark for you. All right, so Mark talks about serving and ministering to people. So it's basically doing lowly deeds. So I found it. So who is the greatest? It says a few verses back. In verse 33, they're talking about who is the greatest. Basically, at the end of it, he takes a little child in front of them, sits him on his lap, and says, whoever becomes like this, one of these, is the greatest among you. Whoever becomes a servant, whoever is childlike, whoever receives one child in my name receives me, and whoever receives me receives not me, but him who sent me. But he also says, if anyone would be first, he must be last of all and a servant of all. So he should serve. And he should be like that child, and he should take those children. A Christian should, one who is salt of the earth and light of the world. He should take time for children to teach them in his ways. And everybody is a child of God, and everybody is a sheep, but they're lost if they're not Christians. They're lost sheep, and they will, and Jesus will go after him, leave the 99 and go after that lost sheep and bring him back. And basically, he's just saying, if you're first, you'll be last, and if you're last, you'll be first. And you must be the least to be the greatest. Because this verse just popped up. When you are weak, then I am strong. So I think that's Jesus saying that when I am weak, he is strong. That's what it is. Paul is saying that to people. I think it's in Corinthians. But anyway, he's speaking that to people, and he's saying, when I am weak, he is strong, and he will give me strength, is what he's saying. That's Mark. I'll go over it a little bit more. And then Luke chapter 14. Luke 14. Went a little bit too far. So salt without taste is worthless, is what this one talks about. So Luke 14, it mentions being humble beforehand, because he talks about the cost of discipleship, and then he talks about the parable of the great banquet. I'm going backwards. So before this, let me back up a little bit further. So he talks. He heals a man on the Sabbath. Then the parable of the wedding feast, and then the parable of the great banquet. So and then he talks about the cost of discipleship. So he mentions being humble, about caring for others out of love, and always make time for God, is basically what all this says. And then he says, and love God more than anything, and to bear his own cross or burden and follow him. This again gives a good example for salt, because that's the cost of discipleship, to carry our cross, our burden, because he says his yoke is easy, and his burden is light, and our load is heavy. So if we receive his yoke, his burden, it'll be lighter. And what is his burden? To go out to all the world and preach the good news to all creation. To love him with all your heart, soul, and mind and strength. To be a watchman in the tower, like Isaiah says. Isaiah 20, chapter 21, I think it is. I could be wrong, but it is in the Bible. It is in the minor prophets or major prophets. To be a watchman. And that's what it says before the salt as well. So I'll talk about it more in depth, but that is basically what I was trying to show you as a close-up. It's basically like, this is not an error, but it has different things before talking about salt and light. So that's another thing, saying it's different times, and also it's in different places. So those are two different facts that we can input to know that this is in different time frames, and this is an important lesson that we need to learn to be the salt of the earth and the light of the world. Thank you for joining me. May God bless you, and have a good day.